Title of the article in this one just says it all. Liberal utopia Los Angeles spends less on firefighters than the homeless, who start 1/3, sometimes half of all fires in Los Angeles. Make that make sense. Let's get into it. Here we go. Give you an example of what kind of fires we're talking about. Here we go.
Really dangerous problem on the west side. Fires being set under a freeway overpass. It's happening at a homeless encampment under the 405 on Sawtelle and Pico. A recent KCAL News investigation found a troubling connection between the county's homeless population and the growing number of fires.
KCAL's
Troubling.
is talking to residents who are fed up, asking the city, why isn't more being done to put an end to this dangerous situation?
This person was making a large bonfire almost
Look at that.
the highway.
Residents living near the 405 overpass.
What are you gonna? That's just straight up heat source. That's not a barbecue. You're not gonna grill anything on that. Are those tongs? Can't even tell, right? It's like, what are we doing here? Ugh.
A large bonfire.
Just a bunch of wood. Oh, that's a piece of wood.
Residents living near the 405 overpass on Sawtelle and Pico are on high alert.
It just seems kind of like a risky situation, like something
You
that
think?
fire.
Oh.
For the last few years, those living in the encampment here have been burning fires to stay warm to cook their meals.
I live right up here, and I can smell the burning smoke from my window sometimes.
Across the street, next to what looked to be the charred main
Jeez.
dishwasher store, I met Emmanuel El Halou. For him, it's more than just the inconvenience of smoke.
It's open flames, nothing contained. It's near trash, and so it kind of seems like very combustible, and it's concerning.
Like this barbecue, chock full of burning.
There it is. I have great concern. The homeless on drugs, whacked out of their minds, are lighting things on fire. They're setting fire. And I have just a scooch of concern. I have some concern here because they might catch something else on fire. And they do a lot.
Logs left completely unattended. Extension cords tapping into the city's electricity underneath the sidewalk to bring power to their tents.
Oh, yeah.
To the potential fire hazards.
I witnessed they were putting a upholstery chair onto a fire to make the chair burn.
Yeah.
All of this happens
As you do.
in no man's land when it comes to responsibility. The overpass is the borderline between City Council District 5 on the east side and 11 on the west, the land underneath the freeway, overseen by Caltrans.
Literally, we cannot walk because they occupy the entire width.
Despite the fact that this is a special enforcement zone, meaning that obstructing the public right of way by sitting, sleeping, or storing personal is technically illegal here.
We now
Technically.
realize the tax money we are paying are not used efficiently.
According to this report from the city, over $1.8 million was spent on producing these metal signs and posting them around the city, leaving residents scratching their heads and wondering what the point is. The law isn't even enforced.
I wish the city would take it a little more serious. I'll see police drive by and do nothing.
In West LA, Nick Zechevich, KCAL News.
Well, our Ross Palumbo's full.
What are the cops going to do, right? They're going to call 911 and have the fire department come out? I mean, come on. That's a legislative problem. You got to drop the hammer on your homeless population. Nobody's willing to do that. We're going to watch another video on third of the fires being set or from homeless. But right now, we got to look at this story. Report from the interim fire chief of Los Angeles because they fired their other fire chief because Mayor Bass had to put the blame on somebody, and cutting the budget for the fire department. That didn't have anything to do with Los Angeles's inability to be prepared for the Pacific Palisades fire. Those two things were not connected. So you fired the fire chief. Now you got an interim fire chief. Says that the city spends more on homelessness than it does on firefighters. Is that shocking? Absolutely not. This is what a liberal utopia looks like. It looks like whacked out priorities that aren't really based on achieving an actual goal. Let's just spend a bunch of money. Let's fund the industrial homeless complex, and we'll just see how it goes. Should be fine. and that the homeless start nearly 1/3 of fires to which the department responds. I've covered a lot of fires here in Seattle. I've covered explosions. I've covered fentanyl tents burning up on the side of the freeway. It's a real thing. Fire number one here in Seattle keeps the homeless warm, gives them a place to cook their foods, but they don't manage it very well. And those pesky explosive propane tanks, those are problematic. I have concerns with those exploding on the side of the freeway, right? The stunning report from interim LA Fire Department Chief Ronnie Villanueva was revealed Tuesday by local ABC affiliate KABC 7. In fiscal year 2024-2025, the city allocated about $961 million to homelessness. Almost $1 billion. Almost a cool $1 billion. While the total Los Angeles Fire Department for that same fiscal year was well under that, at about $837 million. Now, if 1/3 of all the calls that the fire department is going out to are from the homeless folks, if you really got a handle on the homeless folks, not only would you not need that massive $1 billion budget for homelessness, but 30% of the capacity of the fire department is going to fires that entity sets, that those group of individuals set, because they're whacked out of their mind on drugs and just lighting stuff on fire, or just being even careless. Brush fire. I mean, we saw what happened in Los Angeles with the wildfires, right? I mean, it was front page news for weeks and weeks and weeks. But here you've got a story where this is happening all the time. What was it, a year or two ago? Where they literally shut down, I think it was Interstate 10 going into downtown LA because homeless folks had lit a bunch of, what was it? It was pallets. It was wood pallets stored in an area underneath the freeway, got lit on fire by the homeless, and they had to shut the freeway down. Same exact thing here that we just saw in that video. We have concern. There's some concern there. The memo details that nearly 1/3 of all fires, 32.91%, the department responded to in the last 6 years involved a member of the homeless community. And what does leadership say? Nothing. Oh, that's not a good stat. That doesn't work well with our liberal utopia ideal here. We just said that everybody's going to live in a tent and it was going to be fine and they'd like it. That's, it's costing us a lot of money. They don't even see it that way. They see it as the urban outdoorsman. I got to start using that term more. Urban outdoorsman. That comes from our live chat in the premiere every morning. If you like watching this channel every morning at 9:00 Seattle time, we've got a premiere going. I try and get there as many times a week as I can. The last couple of weeks, I've been there pretty consistently. So if you want to chat with me in live time while watching a video of me, go there. But urban outdoorsman, that's now what we're calling the homeless because, it's more dignified. And, we're all about dignity here on News for Reasonable People. Going into the memo, in the last 10 years, the number of rubbish fires, often started by the homeless, surged a whopping 475%. But leadership still thinks it's a good idea to let people live wherever the F they want in tents because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And you've created a situation where cat's out of the bag, can't get the genie back in the bottle, any other kind of analogy you want to make. Eradicating the homeless issue is problematic, and I have concern because it's not going to happen because you got a bunch of whacked out drug addicts stealing from the community to get their next fix. And they're not going to go into treatment. They might go to jail for what? With Proposition 47 in California, you've got all these things, these impediments, because you've basically said, we're not going to involuntarily commit people into mental institutions. Most of these people need to be there. We're not going to help them out with getting treatment. We're not going to help them out with getting into detox. And we're certainly not throwing them in jail. That's not where they need to be. And I agree with that third option, but you got to do something. And these big liberal cities, these big blue Democrat-run cities, their attitude towards the homeless is, well, just this misguided compassion is going to really help them out. Let's apply harm reduction. Let's apply housing first, none of which actually work. And that's why you've got the numbers here that you do. The homeless surged a whopping 475% rubbish fires. If that right there doesn't tell you what you need to know, that is on top of all the crime they commit, just the rubbish, how about the garbage? How about the pickup, back in the day of hypodermic needles? Remember when Democratic cities used to hand out hypodermic needles because that somehow somebody overdosing on heroin was not as bad as, getting infected? I mean, just some backwards, head up ass thinking. It really is. It's so backwards. Despite spending nearly $1 billion on homelessness, LA has barely made a dent in the problem. And the reason for that is the folks that are out on the streets, they don't want to go into housing, they don't want to go into treatment, and they certainly don't want to go to jail. So you're letting them do that. You need some hard, tough love. You need some people to drop the hammer on them and give them the option. And if they can't make a decision on their own, decision needs to be made for them. But we're not doing that, and we're not close to doing that. Some cities are kicking that, kind of those ideals around. You know what cities don't tolerate this? Ones run by Republicans. Weird. Huh. That's so weird. That's so strange. There must be cause and effect there, but I'm not really sure what it is. I'm just going to ignore it. No, go to a city run by a Republican mayor in a Republican state, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's no mention of this. You don't have this thing. Hastings Street in Vancouver, BC. I just saw footage on that the other day. It's just to the north of me here. Horrific. It looked like Portland. And that's not a compliment, Strip away all the garbage and the homelessness and all the crazy things going on in Portland. Beautiful, beautiful city. Vancouver, BC, same thing. Beautiful city. Seattle, same thing. Physically beautiful. And that's what makes it so hard to watch, is that you just got a bunch of misguided compassion folks running governments, and they're like, let them live wherever. And it doesn't work out. So despite spending nearly $1 billion in homelessness, the homeless count in the city dropped a mere 2.2% last year. And I don't believe that for a second. These homeless counts, do not trust them one bit. You got amateur hour, one night out of the year. They run out into the city. I see one, and they tally it up. And, unless they're looking right at a homeless folk, they're not going to count them. They're not going to see them back deep in the woods like they are here in Seattle. Nah. Homeless counts are worthless. They're trash. They're kind of like what I would equate it to is they're like a Zillow Zestimate, which is an estimate of your home. It means absolutely nothing other than a talking point. If you want a real value, go to a real estate professional. That's how that does that. Because the banks, they do the same thing. Not one loan has been made off of a Zillow's estimate. I digress. Villanueva took over earlier this year after LA Mayor Karen Bass fired Kristen Crowley over the Palisades fire, in which the department, thanks partly to budget cuts by the city, failed to pre-deploy firefighters. Need I mention that, Mayor Bass was in Ghana as those fires happened. Ghana. Africa. Africa. All right, let's watch a little video. This is footage talking about third of LA fires linked to homelessness. This is crazy stuff right here.
Decade.
And with more on that memo and the strain it's placing on resources and personnel, we are joined by Freddie Escobar, president of the United Firefighters of Los Angeles. Freddie, thank you so much for being with us. We wanted to ask you what your reaction is to this memo. Like, how did it get to this point, and what is it like for firefighters on the ground?
Well, how did we get here?
Stated that we in the LAFD went over the 6 years, went to more than 76,000 fire calls related to homelessness, which it doesn't surprise us. That's about 35 homeless fires every single day in the city of Los Angeles. I wish I could
35.
surprised. We're not. Nobody who works in the field in the LAFD or
Man.
fire service is surprised, and it's simply not acceptable.
No.
You've said you don't want to criminalize homelessness, but that, quote, we need additional resources strictly for homelessness. So that being said, what does that look like? What, in your view, needs to be done?
I love these newscasters.
The fire department that we need today in 2025. Back when I came on in 1989, we have the same amount of members working today, and we have 5 times the call load. It's simply not sustainable for the men and women that work for the LAFD.
Similar to police.
It really has been a pretty rough 2025 for the LAFD. The fires, of course, the replacement of Chief Crowley. Can you tell us what the morale is like among the rank and file?
I just want you to take a peek at this individual here. She just always looks so clueless. Like she's literally thinking in her head, I'm the mayor? I'm the mayor. I'm the mayor? And then a second later, I'm the mayor. She's just so not quite there, right? And that's what happens when you have DEI hire after DEI hire after DEI hire of progressives who, talk a good game to their folks, and then this kind of stuff happens. Weird, right? I mean, I wouldn't have seen that coming at all, right? In other homeless news, a guy in Los Angeles, a homeless dude, riding around on his bicycle with a chainsaw. Yep, he's cutting down trees. He was celebrating Earth Day. Liberal Utopia, Los Angeles, celebrates Earth Day by cutting down trees with the chainsaw while riding on your bicycle. Yeah, that's a real story. I think I'm actually going to full podcast that one too. Let's watch it.
Some piece of you-know-what decided that they're going to go around last night.
Somebody leave a shirt there?
Trees all over downtown.
Oh,
Residents expressing frustration.
I got really sweaty using my chainsaw. It's night in LA, so I'll just leave my shirt here on the tree. I mean, just the blind leading the blind.
After someone cut down several trees along Grand Avenue in downtown LA this weekend.
Earth Day.
Reporter Sophie Flay is live in downtown with the latest. Sophie?
Yeah, Jory, security guards at buildings in the area say they have surveillance video of one person riding around on a bike, wielding a chainsaw, and chopping down trees. Downtown LA residents are calling this act malicious.
Oh, yeah.
Some piece of you-know-what decided that they're going to go around last
Horrible.
chopping down trees all over downtown LA.
At least 5 trees in downtown LA were butchered over the weekend, leaving residents confused.
What are you doing to your city? I mean, anybody that does this is an act of destruction.
Media Musave has lived downtown.
As are the tents lining your sidewalks, as are the tents lining your underpasses. And that's how you get here, right? What are you doing? Well, you've just created this situation, and this is what you get. You get a bunch of nut jobs running around on their bicycle with a chainsaw, whacking the trees on Earth Day.
Since 2017, he's also behind the popular Instagram account DTLA Insider. At first, he thought these chopped trees were part of a city cleanup.
Started getting pictures from many different people in the influencer space, downtown space, saying, did you see what they did last night? And I realized this was a little more malicious than, just the city chopping trees down.
They were spotted at Grand Avenue and Wells Fargo Center, Olympic and Figueroa, Broadway and Cesar Chavez, and right here at Grand Avenue and 5th Street. According to City Council member Isabel Jorano, this was an illegal act. LAPD Central Division says this tree massacre started at around 1:30 Saturday morning. Detectives are looking for camera footage.
The scope and scale that they did this to is just a little bit shocking. I mean, we're in a high density urban area. Some cameras, somebody had to see something had to catch something, but we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, again, if you live in
And the trees, they were all kept equal by hatchet, axe, and saw. And that was a rush the trees. So, what do you expect? you're overfunding a homeless problem because you can't work out how to get it fixed. And that leads to massive increase to the fire department responding to these calls. And then you've got dudes running around with the chainsaw just whacking the trees. It's anarchy. That's what that is. I mean, there's no guessing where this comes from. This is policy gone sideways because you've allowed the homeless population to essentially take over your public spaces. Trees growing on a sidewalk. I mean, that's the epitome of Earth Day, right? All right, we're in a big urban jungle. We're in LA. Let's plant some trees. Hey, that's great. And who doesn't like a tree, right? Sit under it, get some shade, look up and go, okay, yeah, it's doing that whole, oxygen thing. It's good for the environment if you're really worked up about that. But they're also kind of nice. They break up a big concrete jungle, don't they? You look at a tree and go, there's a tree. Okay. It's not the forest, but it's okay. And then to have a guy do this and to have people lighting stuff on fire left and right. And remember when the Palisades fires first started? There was a bunch of homeless people, and we covered that. There was a bunch of homeless people copycatting those fires. So this is what you get based on the policy that you have, which is you just let whatever anybody wants to do just go. Now, they did arrest this guy. But if he was just, in a tent and popped out and 1 foot in the tent, chopped down a tree, guaranteed he wouldn't have been arrested for that. They would have just given him a little slap on the wrist and, bad boy, Junior, let's not try and cut any more trees down with your chainsaw. And by the way, I'm going to have to take that saw from you. Yeah. No, they probably wouldn't even do that. Who knows, right? It's Los Angeles. Anything goes. This is kind of a testament to that concept, which is no matter how much funding you are for the wrong thing, it's probably not going to work. And the homelessness, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So make sure you're subscribed because we've got podcasts for days, weeks, months, some say years. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.